Good morning from La Mesa, California again. This is Michael here to do another tour of some of the plants in my garden. And today I'm going to focus on trees. Just noticed that my crepe myrtles are starting to bloom, so I thought it would be a good time to go over and do some of the trees on a tour. So I'm standing in front of my favorite, the largest tree that I have, that we have in the yard, and it is a Chinese Pistache, but I will go more into that. I do mostly keep small trees because I have a fairly small lot, so nothing's going to get bigger than about 40 feet or so, which is what this pistache will do for me. Okay, so thanks for coming and enjoy the tour. Okay, so these are the two crepe myrtles that are just starting to bloom. They've been budding out for a little while, but they're finally starting to open up their flowers. And these are Tuscarora. It's Lagerstroemia indica X faueri, and then it's a cultivar called Tuscarora. We put these in 2011 as number 5 trees. They were very small, you know, in a number 5 pot. But there's the beautiful pink blooms these get, and very nice trunk. That whitish bark that peels off a little, and just a nice small tree. These should get no bigger than about 20 feet tall or so, and also pretty easy to control if you wanted to keep them smaller. My dog doesn't want me to be out here in the street. But we put 2 in 2011, so these have been fairly slow growers, but they are going to fill in the space really nicely. Another really nice thing about these particular crepe myrtles is the leaf color in the fall. So we don't have a ton of trees in Southern California that get fall color, but the crepe myrtle is definitely one. Also, I wanted to point out, we have solar panels on the house, as you can see. So we have to be careful with what we plant over on this side. We don't want anything to block the sun from hitting those solar panels. So as far as putting in a large tree on this side, it's probably not going to happen, because we want to make sure we get plenty of energy there. And I also noticed, you'll notice in the background there, that we have some fruit trees, and I will not be really talking about fruit trees today, but I will do a different tour for the fruit trees. I like to grow a lot of stuff in the yard that's edible, so there is quite a bit here. Okay, the next tree I'm going to talk about, and I did mention this in another video, but I'll consider this a small tree or a large shrub, probably more like a large shrub. It's Acacia covenyi, and the common name is blue bush. It's from New South Wales, Australia. And we planted this one in 2012. I just recently learned that these have, a lot of acacias, especially the Australian acacias, have a fairly short lifespan. So this one is probably only going to live about 15 years. So we may be like 2/3 the way there, unfortunately, because it's just such a beautiful shrub to have here. You might notice, if I can get kind of closer here, there's a phenomenon that happens in a lot of trees called fasciation, and you can see the tips of these branches have kind of flattened out. It is recommended to remove those, which I will do pretty soon. This tree could potentially get 12 to 20 feet tall and about 10 to 15 feet wide. I think right now this one is probably about 13 feet tall or so. And yeah, just a lovely tree with really beautiful grayish blue foliage. It does get buds on it as if it's going to bloom, but for some reason this one just never opens up. It may not be hot enough here, I'm not really sure. You can see some little bit on the inside is starting to yellow out, and I have had to prune out some dead stuff from the inside recently, but without looking too close on the inside, that's just a gorgeous plant. Okay, this is the largest tree in the yard, and it will be, well, it's the largest now, and it will definitely be the only semi-large tree that we'll have in our small yard. It's a Chinese pistache, Pistacia chinensis, and it is in the Anacardiaceae family, or the cashew family. It's native to China, Taiwan, and the Philippines. And it can get to be about 35 to 40 feet tall, which is kind of what I'm hoping for here. It potentially could reach 60, but around San Diego, I never see these more than about 40 feet tall, which would be really perfect for the size of our yard. Planted this one in 2011. This is one of the best fall color trees for San Diego, and it's a good idea to, if you decide to plant one of these trees, to go in the fall and pick it out in the nursery, because they do have sort of different shades of red and yellow, and so that way you can pick the one that you like the color the most on. I found it very difficult to find a tree with a central leader. I did find one. It was a number 5 pot, so it was a very small tree when I got it. And I have been doing some very judicious pruning on it to develop the structure. And I will actually go over that in another video too. I will have another tree pruning video for anybody interested. The first like 5 to 10 years of pruning a tree is probably the most important, and it will save a lot of expense in the long run. So anyway, this one I've been working with for like 9 years, and you can see there's still some branches on the bottom. They've been kept very short, but they help to develop the trunk taper. And then recently my wife just moved this bird feeder, or bird bath, over underneath the shade of this tree, and we've been noticing a lot more action happening here. So I think the birds like the shade. This tree provides some really nice shade, and it's far enough away from the solar panels that it's not going to really cause any problem for that. So that's a Chinese pistache. Okay, the next tree I want to show you is Cercis occidentalis forest pansy. This is a forest pansy redbud. Just that gorgeous red foliage on it is a big seller for this one. I've got a plane going over, so hopefully that's not too loud. And we just planted this one in the last year or so. I'll move a little closer so you can see the heart-shaped leaves that come out this really nice, beautiful red. It's a nice breezy day here. This one drops its leaves. It is deciduous, so it drops its leaves in the winter. And then before the leaves come back on, you get a really nice pink bloom. And then after the bloom is over, these nice, beautiful leaves come on. And this one is fairly young and only about 7 feet tall, maybe. It's a wide spreading tree, so I will have to train this one up. I always like to leave foliage at the bottom as long as possible, but I will eventually remove the lower branches and make this more of an umbrella shaped tree. This one might get to be, might be 20 feet tall if we're lucky. Fairly small tree, but just a beauty. This tree is a common name yellow oleander. I've known it for a long time as Thevetia peruviana, but the name has changed, as they do, to Cascabela Thevetia. It's from Mexico and Central America, so actually peruviana was a bit of a strange specific epithet for it. Anyway, it is a toxic tree. All parts of this tree are toxic, but one thing I found is that as you look around, there are a lot of toxic plants in the landscape, and it's not something to panic about necessarily. And you can see these really lovely yellow blossoms there, and it gets a lot. I left these on the driveway because I wanted to show you how much it drops. We just cleaned this up a couple days ago, but literally like we could clean it every day. which is worth it because it's such a beautiful tree and it provides shade over the driveway. Sorry about my bags of bark. This is a work in progress, so figured it wouldn't be too bad to leave a little bit of stuff out. Interestingly enough, we have a lot of rabbits here at the house and they eat the flowers that fall on the ground. I can't believe it's good for their health long term, but I don't really know how to stop it. So anyway, hopefully they're able to process that. This has very low root damage to hardscape. So you can see this guy's been in here for a lot longer than I've been here. And it doesn't really cause a lot of damage to any of the hardscape. I haven't really seen any issues. We have some cracking in our driveway, but it's probably not from that tree. It's probably just from other elements over time. But yeah, this is a really nice tree, a little close to the house, but it's fairly easy to keep it kind of growing one direction. And I end up reducing on the ends a little bit regularly, and I also end up raising it up a little so we can get our cars underneath there. But just a really easy tree, drought tolerant and lovely, as you can see. The fruit that forms on this right there, it's a drupe, and those start off green and then they turn brown and they end up dropping on the ground. Not a big deal, but I do notice that this is a new bed that we just put some seed in, so there's really not much going on in it. But just wanted to point out a little seedling coming up right there. That guy right there is a new Cascabela, and I pull those out once in a while, but I would not call this a weedy tree at all. It will come up from seed, but they're really easy to pull, and it's not really overwhelming. Okay, now onto the backyard, and really in the backyard we only have one tree that's substantial enough to really mention. We do have some fruit trees and stuff like that, but this is a Magnolia grandiflora, or Southern Magnolia, I believe, and it's been here a lot longer than I have. I believe it is some type of one of the smaller hybrids, although I don't really know which one it is. I've kind of tried to figure it out. If anybody has any ideas, please feel free to let me know. But the little gem would be a perfect tree for this area. It's just a hybridized small or cultivar of the Southern Magnolia that fits really well in small spaces, but the flowers are quite a bit smaller. As you can see, this is just full of flowers. Let's see if I can raise this up a little and see if I can get you in the flower there. All right. Yeah, there's that beautiful flower, and that's probably 10 inches across. Giant flowers, and really wonderful smell to the flowers. And this tree, unfortunately, was topped by a previous owner, which I highly counsel against, but it's kind of hard to see right now because it's full. It's pretty full, but they did top it back pretty bad, and so I have been trying to reestablish the structure of this tree, and it'll always have those spots where they were cut. They made some fairly large cuts. This is probably maybe 8 inches in diameter. The regular Southern Magnolia has quite a bit bigger trunk, and I guess it could potentially be that it's just growing in such a small area that It's never really gotten that big, but I'm pretty sure it's a hybrid. And you can see there's a lot more blooms over here. Got the sun kind of coming down right here, so I don't know how well that'll come out, but it's just full of these amazing white flowers right now. And behind that, there's a Duranta that's in full bloom right now, and the butterflies love that one. I will mention just a couple more things back here in the back. This is a Syzygium paniculata hedge, or Eugenia hedge. And we have neighbors up above us, so it works really well to have this very tall hedge. It's probably 13, 14 feet tall. And that technically is a tree also, but it's been pruned into a hedge. If you let these Syzygiums go, they will get to be like 40 to 50 foot tall tree. And our neighbors have some really nice trees. Got a little bit of sun here, so I don't know how well this will work, but this eucalyptus here is a Eucalyptus torquata, which is definitely one of my favorite eucalyptus trees. Eucalyptus trees get a really bad rap in Southern California. They're not native, but there's very few trees that are planted in the landscape that actually are native. The really large ones do cause damage and problems sometimes, but this is actually a really small tree. I don't think the torquata gets to be more than about 40 to maybe 50 feet tall at the most. And just a really lovely landscape tree for a smaller area. They also have a really large eucalyptus back here in the background, and I'm not totally sure what that one is. But they do a nice job of keeping things pruned, and I don't get too concerned about the eucalyptus trees back there falling. Yeah, so just wanted to kind of point those out, even though they're not in my yard. They do surround my yard, so they kind of create that background for it. There's another one in the background way back there. Hey, once again, thanks a lot for watching my video. I was going to say, if there's anything you're interested in me doing a little video like this about, let me know down in the comments. I didn't really start off planning this way, but I guess my channel is kind of about plants, trees, soil, anything to do with gardening and arboriculture, and also veganism, vegan cooking, animal rights, social justice topics, along with the occasional rant about people not wearing masks in public. So if any of those topics are of interest to you, please let me know if there's anything that you would like to specifically see me address. And also, please remember to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss anything in the future. I will plan on doing these occasionally. Can't commit to doing them like every week or anything, but I will do them once in a while. So hope you're enjoying them as much as I am, and I will see you soon. Have a great day.